only 3 teams projected to win 11 games this season: Georgia, the defending champions, Alabama, and Ohio State. And we'll start and look at the schedules and see, guys, where there are some potential potholes, because if you're going to do this, you can't trip up. And we'll start with the defending champions. Greg, where do you see a potential hazard, if you will, when you look at their schedule?
I think there's 2 big hurdles, and I think they're early. They'll be breaking in some young pieces. Oregon in week 1 will be a challenging game. Why? Because Oregon's got nothing to lose. How different is it than a year ago when Oregon went to Columbus, Ohio as a 2-touchdown underdog and beat the Buckeyes convincingly in their own backyard? That game, coupled with the game to South Carolina in week 3, that will be the Gamecock Super Bowl. Remember, South Carolina's an improved roster. They overachieved in year 1 under Shane Beamer. They've now added Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma in the transfer portal. They have some weapons on the outside and should make some improvements on defense, and that will be their Super Bowl. That's a weird rivalry anyway, so those are the 2 games that would scare me early if I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan.
And for me, I would go, I'm looking at the Alabama schedule, right? So Alabama's another team that we're looking at with potential potholes. And so Alabama, obviously, they're returning Bryce Young, returning Will Anderson. But what I get scared about, it's not the A&M game on October 8th. It's the Arkansas game on October 1st. We all know that the tensions are going to be high in that A&M, the rivalry that already is there between Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher, all the conversation. But there's a game the week before. Sam Pittman, he feels like he's building a beast at Arkansas. KJ Jefferson at quarterback. That could be a game to be a potential pothole, something that trips you up that you weren't expecting before that A&M game on October 8th.
I like that game. Arkansas played them well last year, so I think their antenna will be up for it. That game came down to the wire in the 4th quarter, and Arkansas backed up, had a chance to make a drive to potentially steal it. The 2 games that scare me if I'm a Bama fan: 1 on the road at Texas, shockingly enough. Why? Because Steve Sarkisian's familiarity with the defense, and that's really kind of an unknown. Like, who knows what Texas is going to be? They could be amazing. Quinn Ewers could be amazing. Bijan Robinson already is, and the pieces that they added in the portal on the defensive side and at wide receiver might be able to take some of the pressure off Xavier Worthy. Like, that offense could be a little scary, and if you're breaking in a couple pieces defensively, I think Steve Sarkisian might have the firepower to take advantage of it. The other one would be Tennessee. They played them into the 4th quarter. If not for a couple self-inflicteds, that game would have been a little bit more, I think, contested in the 4th quarter. And the game after A&M, that's going to be a gauntlet like you referenced, Sam. That Tennessee game's dangerous on the road in Neyland.
Yeah, and I'm with you, especially early on. So week 2, right? You're September 8th at Texas, right? So there are so many unknowns. We know who Bijan Robinson is, the best or one of the best running backs in the nation. Xavier Worthy, one of the best receivers in the nation. But Quinn Ewers could be that dude. And so Alabama, September 10th, at Texas. Yes, the Steve Sarkisian piece matters, but also this could be the year. It's Sark's 2nd year. This could be the year that Texas puts it together, and they have their eyes lined up on that game playing Alabama. Texas coming into the SEC. Last year, their SEC introduction in Alabama, they gave up over 300 rushing yards. So they're going to be ready. Excuse me, I said Alabama. Arkansas, when they played Arkansas, they gave over 300 yards. So they're going to be ready for this new, if you will, introduction into the SEC.
Yeah, listen, I'm on record as saying I think Texas will be better than we think and likely much improved. And if that's the case, Alabama better be ready and be buttoned up. But, of course, that's what they do. We got 3 teams predicted to win 11 games. The 3rd we haven't touched on, Ohio State. Where could they find trouble, Greg?
It's not going to be in the obvious places to me. I think you look at a game like at Michigan State or at Penn State. Those are obvious. The most dangerous game to me is at Maryland. We've seen it before, okay? We've seen a Dwayne Haskins-led Buckeye team go to College Park in the end of November, looking ahead, knowing, hey, we want to get revenge on the team up north. Well, what happens? You go into a place with an explosive offense and you lay an egg. And I believe that day, Anthony McFarland, the running back for Maryland, had 160 yards on his first 2 carries for 2 touchdowns. That game came down to a 2-point conversion attempt at the very end where Terrell Pigrom just missed the wide open receiver for the Terps where they could have pulled off the massive upset. So that game at Maryland, sandwiched between a couple sleepwalk games at Northwestern against Indiana, right before you go to Michigan, that game at Maryland's real interesting to me.
You see, I'm more interested about the game that you said that they are circling on their calendar, right? November 26th, Michigan. So I think that Ohio State is going to essentially like walk through their schedule. I think obviously Notre Dame, you have to be alert for that, but Notre Dame is trying to figure out what they're going to do. Ohio State is trying to win a championship. I'm not worried about many of these teams on this roster, but that Michigan game, yes, the blood is kind of boiling from the loss last year, but J.J. McCarthy could be a lot better. Jim Harbaugh, we know what he was able to do last year. That game, I call it a pothole because if you lose that game, last game of the regular season before whenever the playoff rankings come out, that could really hurt and derail your opportunity.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.